So, when you hear semaglutide, the first thought is often, well, kind of a magic fix for weight
Oh,
loss.
right. That's the common perception, for
No,
sure.
well, what if that's not really the full picture? What if the real change happens way beyond just the medication?
Exactly.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into Dan Hollis and his manifesto, which honestly kind of flips that whole script.
It really does.
Yeah.
So our sources today are the Dan Hollis Semaglutide Manifesto
Hmm.
and also this really insightful personal account, Weight Loss Setbacks, What Dan Hollis Taught Me.
Okay.
And they dig into this unique philosophy. It's not just about the drug, it's about everything that happens after the prescription, the human part of it all.
Right, the human part. So our mission for this deep dive is basically to unpack his, I think it's 8 core principles, starting with that big one. This is a human journey, not a drug journey. We're going to look at how he reframes things like, willpower struggles, setbacks, things we've all probably dealt with.
Yeah.
And hopefully guide you towards maybe a deeper understanding of that whole relationship with food and your body.
And you'll see Dan Hollis offers this structured process with real human support. It's not just about the number on the scale.
Okay.
It's about really thinking through what it means to reclaim your relationship to food, body, and self. It's quite profound, actually.
So get ready for maybe a few aha moments. I think the way he looks at it offers this new lens on weight management,
Definitely.
moving away from that feeling of struggling alone, towards something more guided that considers, like you said, biology and emotions, the Dan Hollis Manifesto, a different protocol. Okay, let's dive right into that core idea. Principle number 1, this is not a drug journey. It's a human one. He says semaglutide isn't the main event. What does he mean by human journey there? What does that actually involve?
Well, it's critical because he sees the medication as a powerful tool. And what it does is it changes how your brain thinks about hunger, satisfaction, even reward, which can feel incredibly freeing for people. But it can also be really disorienting, maybe even a bit scary.
Scary, huh?
Yeah, because you're dealing with these fundamental biological shifts. So he stresses that without real support, education, and, actual human guidance, you're kind of left navigating that alone.
That makes sense. And navigating it alone kind of brings us to his next point, which I think a lot of people connect with. Willpower was never the problem. I mean, that's a bold statement for anyone who feels like they just lacked discipline, right?
Yeah.
How does he back that up? What is the problem then, according to him?
He basically argues that your biology, your emotions, these deep-seated habit loops,
Yeah.
they're fundamentally stacked against just relying on willpower. It's not a personal failing.
Right.
So his solution isn't just try harder. No, it's about providing insight, structure, and actual tools that genuinely meet your biology where it's at.
Tools that work with your body, not against it.
Exactly. Giving you a real path forward.
Okay, meeting biology where it's at. That definitely feels broader than just eat less. And he goes further, saying this is emotional weight as much as it is physical weight. What's the thinking there?
He's pointing out that, we don't just eat because we're physically hungry. Often it's tied to anxiety, maybe loneliness, boredom, feeling overwhelmed, or maybe just not having enough support.
Sure, yeah.
So while the semaglutide can quiet down those physical hunger cues, the emotional reasons are still there.
Right. They don't just disappear.
Not at all. So his system includes this process of emotional recalibration, basically learning to figure out what you're feeling and find ways to cope that don't involve turning back to food as the default. And that's crucial for preventing relapse.
That makes sense. And speaking of long-term stuff, Dan actually warns against something many people aim for, fast weight loss. He calls it a trap. Why? Isn't losing weight quickly usually seen as a good thing?
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? But he argues fast results often don't mean lasting results. He points out the dangers. Losing weight too fast can really slow down your metabolism. You can lose significant muscle mass, and it often leads to worse outcomes in the long run.
So what's the alternative?
His focus is on pacing. Carefully timing your nutrition, your habit changes, your overall progress so that your body can actually keep up and adapt sustainably. It's about protecting your metabolic health for the future.
All right, protecting it. Now, this next point he makes often surprises people because it tackles that what happens next question head on. He says the real work begins after the medication.
Exactly. Most people think the medication is the work, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
But look at what often happens when people stop taking it without a solid plan. Those old eating patterns, the appetite comes roaring back, the emotional triggers,
Ugh.
they all return.
Mm-hmm.
So Dan Hollis is really proactive about this. He starts the conversation about life after the injections right from the beginning. The goal is to build habits that can live beyond the injections, so people are actually prepared for that shift.
That seems crucial. Now, for anyone listening who feels like they've failed over and over or feels like they're maybe broken or lazy, Dan offers something really different. He says, there is no shame here, only process.
Yeah, and that's just incredibly freeing, isn't it?
Totally.
It reframes that whole struggle. He makes it clear you're not inherently flawed. You're often up against, complex biology you don't fully understand, and also a culture that kind of profits from confusion around weight and health.
Right.
So his job, as he sees it, is to help reset both your body and your expectations of yourself, moving away from self-blame towards just understanding the process.
It sounds like a much more compassionate way to approach it. And that whole no shame thing seems to extend to how he works with people, too. He says, it's a conversation, not a prescription, which feels very different from those really strict, rule-based diets so many of us have tried.
It really is. He's making the case that lasting change isn't just about following a list of do's and don'ts. It's fundamentally about building a healthier relationship.
A relation.
Yeah, a relationship with food, with your own body, and importantly, with the guides who are helping you. So he doesn't just give you rules. He offers a map, a guide, and a community that gets it. It's more like a partnership.
A partnership. I like that. Okay, so his final principle really lands with this sense of hope. You're not starting over, you're starting right. That must resonate with people who are scared to hope again after setbacks.
Absolutely. And he defines starting right as beginning with tools that actually match how your body and brain work, and doing that within a genuinely supportive community.
So it's not just about the tool, but the context, too.
Exactly. It's about starting with alignment, not shame, building a foundation for success instead of repeating those cycles of frustration. 2, reframing setbacks, what Dan Hollis taught me.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit to that second source, the personal story. Weight loss setbacks, what Dan Hollis taught me.
This is where his philosophy on reframing failure really comes through, doesn't it? It absolutely does. And it introduces this really powerful quote from him. Most people don't relapse into hunger. They relapse into confusion.
Confusion, not hunger. Wow.
Yeah, it's a major shift in thinking. It suggests setbacks aren't about being weak or lazy or shameful. He says they're predictable. They're just signals that your body and brain are trying to, recalibrate to all the changes.
That's actually a huge relief to hear, I bet. He also uses that great analogy, doesn't he, about weight loss being like a spiral staircase,
Yeah.
where even if it feels like you're going in circles sometimes.
You're still climbing.
Yeah.
Exactly. It reinforces that idea we talked about. Fast results don't mean lasting results. Pacing is protection.
Right.
So when you hit a plateau and maybe you feel like you're failing, he reframes it. It's just your body catching up, or maybe your metabolism asking for grace. It's an expected part of the journey, not a defect in you.
And what about when those old cravings pop back up? Because they often do, right? How does he explain that?
He teaches that it's not weakness. It's not a failure of willpower. It's simply memory.
Memory.
Yeah, like a neural pathway that's been quiet, suddenly reactivating and asking, hey, does this still matter? And the empowering part is, now you have the tools and the awareness to actually answer differently.
You can choose a different response.
Precisely.
Oh.
And this leads to maybe one of his most profound insights, I think. Your body changes fast. Your identity takes time to catch up.
Ooh, say more about that.
It means that sometimes a setback isn't really about the medication or the food. It's about the story you're telling yourself. Your internal identity hasn't quite caught up to the physical changes yet, and that disconnect can cause friction.
Wow. Okay. So the medication, the semaglutide, it gives you this space, right? Less food noise, fewer intense craving.
Right, a crucial space.
But Dan Hollis teaches you how to actually use that space effectively. He helps you frame a setback not as a judgment on yourself.
But as a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. It shifts it from self-criticism to curiosity.
Curiosity.
Yeah.
Okay, so what kinds of questions does he encourage?
He encourages really specific ones during a setback, like, okay, what am I actually feeling right now? What do I truly need? And who is the person I want to become through this process? It totally changes the experience. It moves it from feeling like failure to feeling like learning. Setbacks don't have to mean you're losing. They might actually mean you're learning something really important. Outro.
Yeah. So wrapping up this deep dive, it's really clear how Dan Hollis's whole approach is just, well, it's miles away from the typical take a pill and lose weight narrative.
Absolutely. It's this holistic, really human-centered journey he outlines.
Yeah.
It redefines what success even looks like.
What stands out most to you from his perspective?
For me, it's that true sustainable change is built on insight, structure, and tools that meet your biology where it's at. That and the focus on emotional recalibration. It's not just about the food.
Yeah, and building habits for the long haul.
Exactly.
And I think the power of his reframing is huge too. That idea of no shame, only process, and starting with alignment, not shame. That just feels incredibly empowering for anyone who's struggled.
Definitely. And probably the most impactful thing for me is how he reframes setbacks.
Yeah.
They're not failures. They're predictable moments for recalibration.
Right.
They're prompts for self-reflection, for growth. That idea that, setbacks don't mean you're losing. It might mean you're learning. That's powerful stuff.
So ultimately, while the medication can create that vital space,
Yeah.
the real deeper work, as Dan Hollis puts it, is all about reclaiming your relationship to food, body, and self.
That's the core of it.
So here's a final thought to leave you with, something to maybe chew on. If your body changes fast, but your identity takes time to catch up, what other areas of your life might be ready for a similar kind of story update next time you hit a setback?
Interesting question.
Something to think about. Thanks for diving in with us today.